to our final TESPN podcast of the year as Griffin Ray, DJ Covington, and myself, Rick Hamlin, we're going to break down some of the best moments of the year, athletes of the year, and just really put a bow on what's been an exciting 2021-2022 school year. For these two seniors, they're going to be graduating here in just a few days, so I know they're excited to reflect on some of the things we've seen this year. So guys, let's start by talking about a rookie of the year. So we had a lot of talented new athletes this year, a lot of athletes that made big contributions, 8th graders, freshmen, some 10th grade transfers as well. Griff, who would you say would be your rookie of the year? A boy and a girl.
We'll do, I think, like I've always said, I'm closer to the soccer unit, so I'm going to keep it with soccer. I'm also going to go with golf. So my girl rookie is Kat Pope. Like we said on the last podcast, is a dog, great determination. Only an 8th grader. I'm super excited to be able to hear good things about her and y'all's future. So I got to give definitely a shout out to her. And then the freshman, he actually was injured for actually kind of both seasons. Isaiah Robinson. I love that kid. That kid is, he's got the biggest heart. He went out with an injury, I think, against Fork Union in football. Was a huge impact in football, wide receiver. Comes back late in the basketball season and has an automatic impact in our basketball season, which definitely didn't go the way we thought or wanted to go, but seeing Isaiah and the potential definitely is exciting. So definitely shout out to Isaiah and Kat.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, you guys, sadly won't be here, but those are two athletes we need to get on this podcast. Isaiah couldn't be a nicer kid, and Kat is just so engaging and fun to talk to, and I feel very grateful to be her coach. DJ, how about you for rookie?
I'm going to go with Carson Beatty and Roman Centilio. I think for Roman, just to be able to be the number one line and win player of the year in tennis and not lose a game the whole season as a rookie is really impressive. The future is really bright for him and the program itself. And then Carson Beating to be able to contribute in both field hockey and softball at such a young age. Two teams that were either in the Final Four in the championship game for states. It's really impressive too. So both of them have really bright futures ahead of them.
Yeah, those are great calls. Both of them are just future stars. I think Division I athletes in the making. Yeah, that's a great call. So for my rookie, the female side, it's really close. I think, both of the ones y'all have said are great. I also consider Logan Snyder, who was a transfer this year, was all-state in cross-country and definitely one of our best soccer players as well. But ultimately, I'm going to go with a 3-sport athlete for mine, the female side, which is V. Updike, one of our best tennis players. I think she got to all the way to the LIS final in tennis, starting point guard in basketball, and started as well in soccer at several different positions. She played defense, midfield, and forward, depending on the matchup. So for my female rookie of the year, I'm going to go with V. Updike. And then on the boys' side, this was a tough one as well, but ultimately going to go with a transfer that had a huge impact on the football field, and that was Cornell Allen. Cornell is a defensive back on our state championship football team, had a lot of interceptions, a lot of pass breakups, and just added a dynamic athlete on the back end of that incredible defense that we had. So I'm going to go with Cornell, who I also enjoyed having in class this year. Great student as well with over a 4.0 GPA. So that's my rookie of the year. Our second category, let's talk about a coach of the year. We have really blessed with some exceptional coaches in this athletic program. DJ, why don't you go first this time?
I would say Miss Sneed for the field hockey team. And
she could get it every year.
Yeah, honestly, and Mr. Phillips for the boys soccer team. I think for boys soccer, it was really exciting to watch them play. I was at a couple games watching my buddy Griff play too, but they had a really good season. They competed really well, and they kind of came up short in the state quarterfinal, but they made Trinity proud for sure. And then Miss Nee, like I said, she's coached up a powerhouse field hockey program these last couple of years, and so for her to kind of repeat, get another championship appearance is really
last couple of decades.
Yes, honestly, yeah.
No, that's great. Griff, how about you?
I don't want to sound like a copycat, but I'm also got Sneed as well. And we're going to go with the golf coach, Coach Bender. He is coaching the prep champion. I mean, golf is kind of like, ever since we've been here, slowly been better and better and better. And finally, I do believe that they got what they so definitely deserved. So So definitely a shout out to him. I know they worked hard, and all those athletes, golf team, are so cool. Like they're so chill, down to earth, and couldn't ask for a better team. Sneed is gonna have to be my female coach. I mean, you can't really go wrong with Sneed. She's head coach for field hockey and lacrosse. Even when they have a tough defeat, she comes in the morning meeting the next day, also happy, motivating the girls. Like, you can got this. We move on to the next game. Like, you guys are amazing. I don't hear Phillips saying that a lot to us, but but Sneed is definitely a character, and she definitely deserves that award.
Yeah, absolute legend. And of course, field hockey won the LIS regular season, and then also got all the way to the state championship game. So that's a great shout there. For my coach of the year, on the female side, I'm going to go with Christy Darlington. Coach Darlington took softball to a share of the regular season LIS title. They tied for first place with St. Margaret's, and then also made it to the state Final Four for, I think, just the second time ever. So phenomenal season for softball, and Coach Darlington did a great job. She's really brought that program up. And then for the male coach of the year, I got to go with my guy, Coach Mickens, state champion. He is just the program he's built here is just remarkable. The level of talent, commitment, athleticism in that group, and they just all love to play for Coach Mickens. He's so great with motivation. He's also assembled a great staff around him with guys like Coach Bell and Coach Knuckles, Coach Taylor on the defensive end, side of things. So, and that's a big thing of being a head coach is that delegating. So I think that Mickens does an awesome job with that. All right, let's move on to our next category, just an athlete of the year. Again, we had so many incredible performances, individual champions in our leagues in several sports, record breakers on the track. I mean, state champions in several sports. So this is a tough call to pick one male and one female athlete. But Griff, I'm gonna turn it over to you here. And who you got?
I mean, like you said, there's so many great athletes, but I'm gonna have to say on the girls' side, Sarah Murphy Payne. I called some of her games and watched some of her on both field hockey and lacrosse. Of course, she is going to play D1 lacrosse, so you could just see her impact on the lacrosse field. Not even just on the field, but off the field. Her leadership of that team, they're all so close and all loved her. She's an excellent athlete, super fast. So I only expect good things coming from her. So shout out to her. And I'm not gonna go with a senior. I'm gonna go with Grady Williams. I believe he's a sophomore and won the prep league for golf. Huge shout out to him. That's crazy. I mean that like we said, that golf team is stacked. Has Division 1 and 3 players all across the board. And for especially have Woodbury as well as a competition. Grady winning prep, that's huge, especially as a sophomore. So shout out to him.
Nice. How about you, DJ?
For girls side, I'm gonna go to Dakota Bimbers of the soccer team. I called some games with Griff in there. You can just tell she's just one thing about her. She's always calm no matter what. That's her demeanor. Even when she was scoring like 5 goals in one game, every time she was very calm. And I asked her, I think the one game against Stab, I asked her what her best goal was, and it was the one that I think her teammate gave an assist to. It kind of just shows who she is, a team first type of player. Very selfless and a very hard worker, and so shout outs to her. And then I'm gonna go for the boys, Connor Ellenbach, football and lacrosse. Both he had great seasons in both sports. To be able to not only play 2 sports at his level was pretty impressive, and he deserves all the credit in the world for what he did on football and lacrosse.
Yeah, nothing but love for Bach. We're gonna miss him a ton, and then of course Dakota. I had the privilege to coach her, and she had an incredible season. All-State hasn't come out yet, but I'm sure she'll be first team All-State. Absolutely deserves that for sure. And yeah, one of my highlights of this whole year period, not just in athletics, but just like one of the greatest things I've seen was, I think I was telling you guys earlier, when about 45 minutes after the state championship game, when Connor Erlenbach came out and just kissed the shield in the middle of the field after his last game, and that's just something I'll never forget from that day. Having said that, I'm going to pick a different football player for my male athlete of the year, and I'm going to go with Jack Toscano. Record-breaking quarterback, going on to play at William & Mary. He made all the plays when he had to, and he's a guy who had to overcome a lot of doubts earlier in his career, People talked a lot of trash about him from other schools, even at our school. Actually, even I did, for that matter, when Jack punted on third down. But no, I mean, he just had an incredible season. He fought through some injuries, and to be, QB1 on our first Division I state champion in football, I gotta go with Jack. I know you guys are super close with him, so you know how much he put into it. And a huge assist also to Coach Bell, because he helped get Jack where he is, for sure. And then for female athlete of the year, I'm good with Lainey Nichols. I mean, she was the LIS player of the year. She was the Richmond Times-Dispatch Metro player of the year. Going to play field hockey at the University of Richmond, where her sister Corey plays as well. So I know it's been a while since the fall, but I don't want to forget about the incredible season that Lainey had, leading our field hockey team to a LIS regular season championship and a state final appearance. And she just had a huge impact in field hockey, really all 4 years, but it culminated in a fantastic year this year. All right, so we've had, I don't even know how many podcasts at this point, probably 12 to 15 at least this year. We've had a lot of great guests. We've had coaches, we've had athletes, we've had older players, we've had younger players. But I want to take a minute and just shout out our favorite podcast guest of the year. I guess, whose turn is it to go first?
I think it might be me.
Yeah.
I think my favorite guest, or I think the state championship preview with Mario Thompson, Cam Fleming, and Trey Ferguson. That was a really fun podcast to do. Miggins was on that podcast too. That was a really fun podcast to do. They kind of looking back at it now, they kind of like manifested what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think now for them, they're in a really great position to repeat next year, and they've all gotten some multiple D1 offers too. So shout out to them. That was a really great podcast to do.
Yeah, that was fun.
I mean, yeah, that definitely was a fun podcast. But I gotta go with we've already mentioned her on podcast, Carson Beatty. I love Carson. She's just like the character. Like, she's the same off the field, on the field, behind the camera, in front of the camera. I mean, she's just the same person.
In class.
I mean, literally.
Trust me. I teach her.
She's literally like, she's just such a cool person to be around. Like, I remember we asked her favorite hype song, and then she was like, I forget what it was. It was Super Gremlin or something like that. And then I remember I'm coming to call a softball game. She was like, hey, Griff, like, listen to my walk-up song. It's gritty. It's the Super Gremlin. I mean, I'm just like, this girl is like, she's the same person. And like, just a big shout out. She's a fun person to talk to, and also a great athlete.
Yeah, complete beast of an athlete. She was fun. I'm gonna go with, an honorable mention, but no one ever saw this, but we had Kayla Quigley and AC Tetterton, and we interviewed them out on the balcony, and for some reason that video it got like erased, and we never got to broadcast that one. But Kayla and AC were awesome to talk to, but that footage is gone forever. Yeah. It's like footage of Abraham Lincoln's speeches. Like, it doesn't exist anymore. But no, I'm going to go with one of our more recent ones, Roman Sansillo and Gus Mitchell, tennis prep league individual champions. I was just so struck by Roman, how humble he is, as great a tennis player as he is. And then Gus is a guy I've known since he was in elementary school, coming to my basketball camp. He's just such a sweet kid. But on the court, both those guys are absolute killers, which is why they won the number 1 and number 2 seed in prep league tennis. I mean, that's incredible. So loved having those guys. All right, we got one last category we're going to discuss here, and that's just the contest of the year, the game of the year, the meat match of the year. And Griff, we'll start with you. Maybe do a couple honorable mentions, and then your overall.
There's a ton. It's this year, especially coming after the COVID year. I think a lot of people just decided like sports was like how fast it could be taken away. So there's a lot of good games. I called one of these games, softball game against St. Margaret's. They are Division II, but are a super good team. I think we actually went to the championship and lost to them, but we're gonna go to the game. I think 2 games before that, when they came home to our house, my first softball call, and Allie Doherty, who is a very capable college softball pitcher, against another, I think she's committed to Division II softball pitcher, going back and forth. It was like 1-1, or maybe not even, like just the entire game. Final thing, I think it was Camille Santiago, I believe. She was up to bat, and I think Alex Geeson was on second. And I remember saying, like, she's going to steal, she's going to steal, she's going to steal. What happens? She steals. Catcher overthrows third base. Alex Geeson runs home and scores. And I think that I remember I watched back and I was like, I screamed like almost it was like state football where you can't hear it. And so definitely shout out to them. And then of course golf winning the prep league. I mean collegiate, St. Chris, Woodbury has kind of been those guys, and to Trinity. I think that meant a lot to Trinity, and to those guys. And I gave a shout out to Coach Bender also. So definitely shout out to those guys.
Yeah, DJ, I know.
That was really good.
We might not have too much time left on this thing,
but I'm gonna just kind of speed it up. I'm gonna go first with the girls soccer LIS final against Collegiate. That game was really fun to watch. I was in the student section with Griff, and a lot of other people, a lot of support came out there. I know for Hamlin it was a tough one to swallow, but I think
but it was awesome for girls sports to get that kind of turnout. You couldn't beat that atmosphere. So
yeah, y'all definitely deserved the win there. I think y'all played really, really hard. And for the boys, I'm gonna go with the boys soccer game against Benedictine, the state opener. Like I said, it's always fun to play against Benedictine, no matter what sport you play. But I know for those boys, they really wanted that win, and they got it. So shout out to them.
Yeah, and that was I think our first home state soccer game that we'd hosted on the boys' side in like over 15 years. So the crowd was incredible at that, and that game it was tied with like 10 minutes left, and then we just put it on them in the last 10 minutes. So that was pretty awesome. A couple I'll go with. I really enjoyed the volleyball senior day against Stab and went to 5 sets, was back and forth, and our girls pulled it out. I think they had lost to Stab, been swept 3-0 just a week or two before that. So that was a great bounce back win. Really enjoyed that one. And then another game I remember well was actually the field hockey semifinal over at Collegiate in the state semifinal. They had beaten us in the LIS championship the week before. Coach Sneed had those girls completely locked in. They won 3-1, and I think it was 3-0. Like they pretty much cruised. It was. I'm sure for them it felt tight, but it felt like we were in control the whole game to get back to that state championship for I believe the 5th or 6th year in a row that we played Norfolk Academy for a state championship in field hockey. So those are two I go with my honorable mentions. But I think we all agreed, and we'll wrap it up with I think all of us our game of the year, moment of the year. No one who was there will ever forget the state championship football game. So, real quick, do you guys have any reflections on that, or just?
It's hard to describe that.
It's just such a blast. I mean, honestly, I'm just all for Jack. You know, Jack just kind of like you say, he's our close friend. His birthday. I remember.
It was a great day.
Just like running to find him. Also Sam Gore, I remember running into his arms, and also trying to find Jack, just telling him how proud I am of him, and just see everybody. It was just crazy.
Yeah, and that whole day to me was just one of the most special Trinity days. I mean, I got here about 2.5 hours before kickoff, and there were already hundreds of people tailgating, enjoying. It was like that perfect autumn weather, just football weather, 50s, sunny, and there was just a vibe and energy on campus that you just can't recreate. And then credit to Benedictine. I mean, their community came out in a huge way. And it's one of those deals where, a rising tide lifts all boats. I mean, they brought out the best in us. We brought out the best in them. It's a fierce rivalry, on the field and in the stands. But I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of respect there as well. And I think the moment I'll never forget, in the overtime, well, there's a couple moments. First, the fumble that when we were trying to kneel on the ball that forced overtime when it looked like we'd blown it. And then we got behind in overtime because then they got the ball first. When we scored the touchdown to cut it to 1, and when Tegan Logan threw that through the what do you call it? The thing you put the ball
a block.
Yeah, the tee. Tegan threw the tee. All right, so you may have noticed Griff and I are a little bit different clothes. We also don't have DJ with us anymore. The end of this podcast got cut off, so we're filming the end of this from a couple days later. But we just wanted to finish talking about that state championship football game. DJ, Griffin, and I all agreed it was the sporting event of the year. I think anyone who was there would agree. And really probably one of the top 5 or so, I would say, as someone who's seen thousands of Trinity athletic events, it's easily one of the top 5. Huge crowd, incredible game, came down to overtime, 1-point win over our big rival Benedictine. And I was just saying, I think when the film cut off before, this might be weird when you're watching it, but that the moment of truth was we're down, he scored the touchdown in overtime to cut it to 1, set up that swinging gate play that could be an extra point to tie it, then taking through that tee, we knew we were going for it, and that moment for the next like 5 seconds, just the emotions, the stress, to see what would happen next was truly incredible. But thankfully, our quarterback took the snap perfectly, rolled out, hit the throw perfectly. Wide receiver Trey Ferguson caught the ball perfectly, and of course that quarterback was my male athlete of the year, and that was Jack Toscano. We've got a great surprise because Jack Toscano is here right now.
Welcome, man. Welcome.
And Jack, we're gonna wrap this thing up. This last podcast of the year. I just want to ask you a 2-part question. Part A: what is your enduring memory from the state championship game? And then Part B: just put into perspective the arc of Trinity football in your 5 years here.
Yeah. So obviously, the favorite moment from that game was the 2-point conversion, but I have like a little small one too. There was about a 10-minute period where I could not find my mom. Like there's a crowd of people and I'm like sorting through. My mom's sorting through.
Post game.
Yeah, post game. And then I found her and like we had a big moment, a big hug. We were both crying. So that was probably one of the moments I'll never forget. And then as far as the arc of Trinity football, I feel like I've said this multiple times, but it's just buying into the culture. And we had a good core group of people that came here in 9th grade, and 8th grade, and they bought into it. And what Coach Miggins has been telling us, to be a family and to really like watch out for one another and have each other's back. You saw it grow throughout, our 4 or 5 years here, and I think that's really what creates a winning culture and a winning team. That's pretty much what I gotta say. I think it's a family.
Well, I think it's very appropriate that you joined us on this last edition of this 2021-2022 school year podcast, because you, along with several of your classmates, were instrumental in launching this whole TESPN project. We had you on the podcast multiple times. My favorite TESPN moment of the year was our post-game interview that we did in the aftermath, just a couple minutes after you had completed that pass from the state championship game. You broadcast a bunch of basketball games you and I did together, which was a lot of fun. So I just want to thank all the seniors, starting here with you, Jack, also Griffin, who did the podcast and also announced lacrosse, softball, and soccer this spring. Sam Gorey, who was on the podcast a bunch of times and also was a great job with me announcing basketball games this winter. With some tough games, didn't always go the way we wanted, but still Sam showed a lot of enthusiasm and insight into the basketball. DJ, who was incredible on the podcast, showed a lot of maturity and thoughtfulness, as well as he broadcast soccer games. Other seniors who contributed: Caleb Muminovich. Early in the year, Mac Holloway was big on production side and getting us our stat guy. Thankfully, Silvio we got for 2 more years, but also just really wanted to focus on thanking all those seniors, and the senior especially. I want to make sure to not forget the MVP of TESPN was Jeffrey Bell, our executive producer who got all our events on the air, and we could not have done this without Jeff. So hope he's watching this. But this has just been a really fun year for us. We talked to a lot of great athletes. We saw a lot of great games. It was a wonderful year in Trinity sports, and we hope that those people who watch this podcast got to just enjoy the journey along with us. I can't wait till next year. These guys are looking forward to college and Beach Week and what's to come in the meantime. But thanks everybody that tuned in. Hopefully you enjoyed it with us, and we will see you next year.